There is something within you, something older, deeper, quieter than the mind, an inner strength that does not shout but simply is. The mind, with all its brilliance, can be a powerful ally, but with all its noise, its worry, its endless attempts to control everything, it can also become your greatest enemy. The paradox is that we work so hard to reach certain goals, to achieve specific milestones, to attain the things we believe will bring peace or fulfillment. And when we finally get them, we discover that we can't truly enjoy any of it if our attention is everywhere except where our body actually stands. What is the point of arriving somewhere in life if your mind is still stuck in last week? What is the worth of finally achieving something meaningful if your attention is constantly running toward a future you fear or fantasize about? Enjoying what you have requires one simple but profound act, arriving fully where you already are, with what you already have right now. Not in a hypothetical tomorrow, not in the echo of a past that cannot be edited, but here, in this breath, in this step, in this moment. The more deeply you see this truth, the more naturally it integrates into your way of being. It's not about forcing anything. It's not about repeating a mantra until your tongue is tired. It's about gently bringing more awareness into the present moment until presence becomes your default home. I observe this in my own life constantly. Most of the time I am present, and when I'm not, I notice it immediately. Presence feels like the natural state. For many people, it's the opposite. Absence is normal and presence feels like a rare visitor. But the strange truth is this: you are always in the present, whether you are aware of it or not. You cannot step out of the present any more than a wave can step out of the ocean. The only thing that makes you feel like you're not in the present is the fog of thoughts drifting across your awareness. When the fog lifts, when thoughts settle, the presence that was always there becomes visible again. It's not something you gain. It's something you uncover. One of the greatest misconceptions in our modern world is the belief that to feel complete, we must constantly add something, another certification, another possession, another goal, another status symbol, another achievement, another compliment. This constant, you need, you must, you should, has created an entire culture built on the illusion of insufficiency. But the insight I'm speaking about right now is the complete opposite. It says, you already have it. You already are it. It is already here, just buried underneath layers. This path is not a path of accumulation. It is a path of removal, peeling back, uncovering, letting unnecessary things fall away. Nothing needs to be added. Many things need to be undone. This is the essence of the yin approach, the balancing force that doesn't deny everything you have learned, but expands your perspective beyond the limits of constant action. It doesn't require you to throw away the old tools, only to realize that there are more tools on the table than you once knew. And once you have access to both perspectives, the doing and the non-doing, you gain freedom of choice. Sometimes one approach fits better, sometimes the other does. But if you don't even know the second approach exists, you can't choose it. Meaning, whatever you learn in this life is never truly wasted. You may not need it today. You may not need it tomorrow. But the day may come when that knowledge becomes the key to a door you didn't even know existed. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. I speak about this path not because it's the only way, far from it, but because it is the way I walked long enough to understand its depth. My understanding comes from lived experience, not theory. This is why I share it with you on Master from Within, not as an ultimate truth but as an observation, a reflection of how these practices shaped me and how they helped me build a life I believe is worth living. The Shaolin practices, the structure, the discipline, the breath, the movement, all of these have helped me cultivate a quality of life I would not trade for anything. They shaped not only my body but my mind. They provided a culture, a tradition, a container within which growth became natural rather than forced. And what I found so beautiful about these traditions is this: they end the search. You no longer have to cobble together pieces from yoga, from modern fitness, from dancing, from spontaneous experiments. That approach can feel liberating, but it often lacks direction. Structure, on the other hand, gives clarity, a clear rhythm, a clear routine, a clear container. For example, you eat at 8:00. You train from 9:00 to 11:00. You wait until 13:00 to eat again, no matter how hungry you feel at 11:30. Why can't I go to the kitchen and eat if I'm hungry? Because that urge is the mind talking, and there is something within you that is greater than the mind. The mind can be loyal, but it can also be cunning. It can be playful, but it can also be manipulative. When you follow a structure, when you eat only at certain times, something extraordinary begins to happen. At first, the mind protests. It whines, it complains, it sends waves of hunger, it tells stories, but eventually the noise fades. The body adjusts, the mind accepts. And then the real freedom begins. True freedom is not being able to eat whenever you want. True freedom is being able to wait, even when you want to eat. Freedom is not following impulses. Freedom is being free from them. Many people believe freedom means doing whatever I want whenever I want. But that's not freedom, that's slavery to impulse. Freedom means my mind says I need something right now, but I am not controlled by that voice. This idea shows up everywhere, in eating, in relationships, in desire, in temptation. If you walk past beautiful people on the street but you have committed yourself to one partner at home, freedom is not saying, well, I'm free so I may flirt. No, that kind of freedom leads only to suffering for you, for others, for the relationships you claim to cherish. True freedom is the ability to stay loyal, to not be shaken by temptation, to not be pulled around by your impulses. If you can't resist temptation, then you're not free. You're enslaved by desire. This is why structure matters, not to restrict your life, but to reveal your inner strength. I've always said, I do not claim that my way is the only way. I only share what has worked for me. And if something I say resonates with you, if you try it and find value in it, then I'm grateful. If not, that's okay too. My teachings are not commandments, they're offerings. But one thing I know. The mind consumes an enormous amount of energy. Sometimes what drains you the most is not work, not exercise, not activity. It's mind activity. Thinking about the past, worrying about the future, replaying conversations, fantasizing fears. This is why so many people wake up already exhausted. They slept, but the mind didn't. Being present changes everything. Not only the quality of your days, but also the quality of your sleep. When you sleep, sleep. When you eat, eat. When you walk, walk. When you work, work. But in modern life, people sleep while thinking about work, work while thinking about eating, eat while thinking about sleep. There is no alignment, no synchronicity. To be present means to fully inhabit one thing at a time. And when you do that, you discover that you need less sleep to feel fully restored, not because you are superhuman, but because your mind is no longer draining your energy reserves 24/7. Sleep is important, diet is important, breathing is important, lifestyle is important. These three, diet, breath, lifestyle, are the fastest ways to change the way you feel on a daily basis. If one of them is off, you will feel it. If all three are off, your energy will drain from a deeper reservoir, the essence itself. And when that happens, life shortens. Not metaphorically, but literally. You see, challenges are not disruptions in your path. They are the path. Anything uncomfortable, anything painful, anything heartbreaking contains within it the potential for transformation. If you choose to see it as something that ruins your life, then it becomes exactly that. If you choose to see it as something that reveals your next level of growth, it becomes that. This is why I treasure one of the core insights of Buddhism. With our thoughts, we create the world. Circumstances may not change. Life events may not change. Loss, conflict, heartbreak, those things happen to everyone. But your mind determines whether an event becomes your prison or your teacher. When hope fades, it is usually because the vision behind it was not strong enough. True hope does not crumble when other people laugh at you. It doesn't evaporate when difficulties show up. True hope is rooted deep, deeper than fear, deeper than doubt, deeper than external opinion. And if you cannot hold your own hope at times, then you need a circle, brothers, sisters, friends, people who sense when you are falling, people who remind you of your strength when you forget it. There is no shame in needing support. No one climbs a mountain alone. A truly positive mindset is not about forcing positivity. It's not about pretending life is always joyful. It's about understanding the interplay between positive and negative, like the inhale and the exhale. Both are necessary. Both belong. Nothing stays in one polarity forever. It's not about becoming someone who stays positive at all times. That's artificial, forced, and often dishonest. It's about staying aware that life moves in cycles. Darkness comes, but so does light. Joy comes, but so does pain. Neither is permanent. Neither defines you. The key is balance, not blind optimism, not endless pessimism. And when a person feels empty inside, purposeless, unfulfilled, often the solution is not to search endlessly for a grand destiny, but simply to give your life a purpose, even temporarily. A direction, a mission statement, something to move toward. Action creates clarity. Later you will discover the middle way, the balance between doing and non-doing, between movement and stillness, between action and presence. The point is not to stay in one extreme, but to learn how to move between them gracefully. A healthy relationship, whether with a partner, a friend, an animal, or any living being, requires connection, real connection. Not a connection based only on desire or imagination, but on genuine resonance. Something emotional, something felt. Intellectual desire alone is not enough. And once there is connection, there must be exchange, giving and receiving, flowing in both directions. If the flow becomes one-sided, the relationship begins to stagnate. In my view, life is governed by cause and effect. I am who I am because of the seeds planted before me, my parents, my teachers, my friends, the environments that shaped me. Gratitude flows naturally when you recognize the chain of causes that made you possible. Gratitude for parents, for teachers, for friends, for companions, for the beings, human or animal, who supported or challenged you into growth. And ultimately gratitude toward life itself, toward the mystery that breathes us. When you begin to see truth, not as a concept but as a lived experience, you begin to feel free. Even one moment of truth is enough to open a new doorway, and if you pay attention to these glimpses, more will come. All the structure we use, discipline, training, schedule, exists for one purpose: to free you from being ruled by your mind. Once you master the mind, you no longer need rigid structure. Discipline simply means doing what must be done, regardless of mood or impulse. But beyond discipline, there are other forms of mastery: patience, honesty, clarity, reduced judgment, deeper observation, and alignment between what you think, say, and do. A good life does not require perfect circumstances. It requires inner stability. Even in war zones, even in chaos, people can find something that stabilizes them: family, brothers, responsibility, purpose. Not everyone can escape their circumstances, but everyone can find some form of inner grounding. If you want to begin this journey, start with the part of your life that felt not okay recently. Investigate it. What was out of balance? What expectation clashed with reality? What felt disharmonious? The moment you sense something is off, that is where your attention must go. To look within, your attention must return to yourself. This is why retreats exist, not to escape life, but to eliminate noise long enough for clarity to emerge. Even martial arts and qigong serve as moving retreats. When training pushes you to your limits, all external noise disappears. No thoughts of the future, no fantasies of the past. Only the present moment, intense, raw, uncompromising. This is why these practices reconnect you with yourself. But growth requires testing. If small inconveniences still make you angry, your inner elevation is still small. Life will continue giving you tests, anger, jealousy, attachment, loss, until the lessons are learned. Thoughts will always appear. The difference lies in whether you identify with them. Seeing a thought arise does not mean you must act on it. Most thoughts, 90%, are unnecessary. They float through like clouds. You are free when you can watch them come and go without being dragged by them. Alignment means that your thoughts, words, actions, and inner state move as one. There is no conflict inside. This is the ultimate goal of mind-body unity. Not everything in life can be rationally planned. Some people enter your life for reasons you may only understand years later. Nothing is random. Every encounter carries meaning. Places like monasteries exist because they provide frameworks that support inner cultivation. In the beginning, the right environment is very helpful. Suffering is inevitable, but suffering in the past and suffering in the future are optional. The more separated you are from the present moment, the more suffering you experience. The more you reconnect and unite what appears separate, the more suffering dissolves. Greatness begins with learning to love your life, to appreciate existence, and then helping others do the same. There is no higher contribution. Awareness makes you sensitive to your thoughts, emotions, and inner patterns. Without awareness, years pass and nothing changes. Knowledge alone does not transform you. Action does. Embodiment does. Life is a gift, but living it miserably is not the purpose of that gift. To understand life, to transform suffering, to face fear, to let go, these are the tasks we cannot avoid. Courage and surrender are essential. Growth happens at the edges of discomfort. Avoiding suffering does not free you, facing it does. Invest your lifetime in becoming strong enough, clear enough, courageous enough to overcome what weighs on your heart. And finally, if your mind wakes up filled with conflict, dissatisfaction, and feelings of lack, then your whole day becomes a chase, running after something you think you don't have. This is why the mind matters. Because the way you think when you wake up determines the world you walk into. The world you experience is filtered through the mind you carry. Two people can live through the same moment and walk away with completely different realities, not because the moment itself was different, but because the inner lens through which it was perceived was different. A storm outside is just a storm, but a storm inside, that can reshape your life. This is why inner work matters so deeply. Not because it protects you from life, but because it prepares you for it. Because eventually, every person reaches a point where they realize that the world does not bend to their preferences. Not everything goes as expected. Not everyone does what we hope. Not every loss can be prevented, and not every pain can be avoided. But you can become someone who moves through life without losing themselves in the process. Someone who can remain centered even as things fall apart. Someone who does not collapse simply because the circumstances are difficult. And here's a truth many people avoid. Life does not become easier. You become stronger. Your capacity grows. Your ability to remain calm grows. Your clarity grows. Your emotional endurance grows. Your presence grows. Your understanding deepens. This is the real transformation. Things that once broke you no longer break you. Things that once scared you no longer scare you. Things that once triggered you no longer trigger you. Some call this strength. Others call it peace. But the deepest name for it is freedom. Freedom from the chaos of the mind. Freedom from emotional turbulence. Freedom from the constant push and pull of desire and fear. freedom from being trapped by your own past. And the most surprising part, when you reach this kind of inner freedom, life outside begins to shift as well. Not because the external world magically changes, but because you are finally able to meet it as it is, instead of as your fears imagine it to be. People ask me, is there a shortcut? Is there a fast way to reach this state? There is no shortcut, but there is a simple truth. The moment you stop running from yourself, the journey accelerates. The moment you turn inward with honesty, things begin to open. Most people spend years avoiding the one place they most need to enter, their own inner world. Whenever discomfort shows up, they reach for distraction. Whenever boredom appears, they reach for stimulation. Whenever sadness arises, they drown it out with noise. But the very things they avoid contain the doorway home. Everything outside of you, success, accomplishment, recognition, validation, can support you. These things are not bad, but none of them can free you from yourself. That work is internal. Inner work begins the moment you stop trying to escape your experience and instead begin to observe it. Observe your thoughts. Observe your reactions. Observe your fears. Observe your impulses. Observe your desires. Observe your patterns. At first, you may realize how loud the mind truly is, how relentlessly it pushes, how quickly it judges, how fiercely it defends itself, how automatically it reacts, how easily it confuses preference with truth. This is uncomfortable, yes, but it is also liberating. Because the moment you can observe the mind, you are no longer trapped inside it. In the monastery, this was one of the first lessons we learned. You're not here to silence your mind. You're here to stop being controlled by it. Silence comes naturally after control. Not through force, but through understanding. When I was training, there were days when the body ached, when the mind resisted, when everything felt heavy. Days when I wondered if I could keep going. But the structure was not built to make life hard. It was built to reveal how much strength was already inside me. Discipline strips away illusion. It reveals where you make excuses, where you hesitate, where you surrender too easily, where you seek comfort instead of growth. The purpose is not punishment. The purpose is refinement. It's like polishing a stone. At first it is rough, uneven, ordinary. But after consistent friction, consistent shaping, consistent pressure, it becomes something entirely different, smooth, sharp, powerful, radiant. The mind is the same. The heart is the same. The spirit is the same. Without pressure, they remain dull. With pressure, they transform. This is why I say again and again, your suffering is not pointless. Your challenges are not random. Your pain is not meaningless. Everything that challenges you is an invitation to grow. Everything that breaks you open is an opportunity to rebuild with more wisdom, more clarity, more depth. Life is a teacher, but it teaches only those who are willing to listen. There is a moment in every person's life when they finally stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And instead they begin asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That shift changes everything. The moment you stop resisting life and begin learning from it, you become unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because you stop breaking under its weight. Every time you face discomfort with awareness, you grow. Every time you sit with an emotion instead of running from it, you grow. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you grow. Every time you respond instead of react, you grow. Every time you love without needing control, you grow. Every time you forgive, you grow. Every time you let go, you grow. Growth is the byproduct of presence. Presence is the byproduct of awareness. Awareness is the byproduct of slowing down enough to actually observe what is happening inside you. And this brings me to a crucial realization. The greatest power you have is awareness. Awareness allows you to catch your anger before it becomes destruction, to catch your fear before it becomes paralysis, to catch your desire before it becomes addiction, to catch your sadness before it becomes hopelessness, to catch your mind before it becomes your master. This is what it means to be the master of your inner world. Not to never feel emotions, but to never be ruled by them. And when awareness becomes a way of life, when presence becomes your home, you begin to experience something rare in this world. A calm that does not depend on circumstances. A strength that does not require force. A peace that does not collapse under pressure. A joy that does not need permission. A connection that does not fear loss. A clarity that does not require control. A freedom that does not waver. You become sovereign, whole, rooted, unshakable. This is the heart of the path. Not perfection, just truth. And in that truth, something extraordinary happens. You no longer live your life out of fear, or lack, or insecurity. You live from inner fullness. You stop chasing. You stop grasping. You stop running. And when you are no longer running away from life, you can finally run toward it. There comes a moment on this path when you begin to notice subtle shifts within yourself, small transformations that are easy to overlook if you're not paying attention. Suddenly, you respond to something with calm that once triggered you into chaos. Suddenly, you let go of a comment that before would have lingered for days. Suddenly, you feel a quiet strength in situations where you once felt powerless. These small shifts are signs. They are markers that the inner work is taking root. Change rarely announces itself with fireworks. It often arrives like dew on the grass, quiet, gentle, unnoticed until the sun reveals it. But soon, others begin to notice. Your energy feels different. You seem more grounded. You don't get rattled as easily. You feel calmer. You feel clearer. When your inner world changes, your outer world always follows. Not instantly, not dramatically, but inevitably. This is because your outer life is a mirror. People treat you according to how you treat yourself. Opportunities match your level of awareness. Relationships reflect your inner patterns. Challenges reveal your level of growth. And the world responds to the energy you bring into it. If your inner world is chaotic, the world appears chaotic. If your inner world is peaceful, the world appears more manageable. If your inner world is grounded, the storms of life cannot uproot you. This is not magic. This is alignment. Presence creates alignment. Awareness sharpens alignment. Discipline maintains alignment. And alignment creates a life that feels coherent, not fragmented, not scattered, not contradictory. Think of how most people live. The mind says one thing. The heart desires another. The body pulls a third way. And their actions lead somewhere else entirely. Internal contradiction exhausts the spirit. But when thoughts, emotions, words, and actions move together, when all parts of you walk in the same direction, there is power. A quiet, focused, unstoppable power. This is why ancient traditions emphasized inner unity. This is why warriors train not only their bodies, but also their minds. This is why monks practice silence, discipline, ritual. This is why spiritual traditions insisted on self-awareness. Because fragmentation weakens. Unity strengthens. When your inner world is unified, you could be in the middle of chaos and still move with clarity. You could face uncertainty without collapsing. You could sit with fear without acting from it. You could navigate loss without losing yourself. A person who is internally united is almost untouchable, not because life stops challenging them, but because nothing inside them amplifies the challenge. And this inner unity is not something you find by accident. It is something cultivated by observing yourself honestly and courageously. Honesty is the key. Honesty with yourself. Honesty about your habits, tendencies, impulses, fears. Honesty about your desires and your insecurities. Honesty about where you stand and where you truly want to go. Most people are not destroyed by the truth. They are destroyed by avoiding it. Avoidance makes the shadow grow. Avoidance turns small wounds into deep scars. Avoidance makes the mind more chaotic, more reactive, more unstable. But honesty clears the fog. I am hurt. I am afraid. I am insecure. I am angry. I am attached. I am resisting. I am pretending. Once you acknowledge what is present, transformation begins. Nothing can be healed if it is hidden. Nothing can be released if it is denied. Nothing can be transcended if it is ignored. Healing requires bravery. Growth requires responsibility. Freedom requires awareness. And responsibility does not mean blaming yourself. It means recognizing that your inner state is your domain, your territory, your garden, your world to tend. If you do not tend to it, weeds grow. Weeds of resentment. Weeds of fear. Weeds of doubt. Weeds of anger. Weeds of anxiety. Some people try to fix their life by rearranging the outside. They change relationships. They change jobs. They change cities. They change environments. And sometimes these changes help. But if the inner patterns remain the same, the outer problems simply take new shapes. Because you carry your mind with you everywhere you go. You carry your fears, your wounds, your habits, your perspectives. Your inner world travels with you. This is why self-mastery is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Your life will not rise beyond the limits of your inner world. Your relationships will not exceed your level of emotional maturity. Your opportunities will not consistently surpass your level of awareness. Your peace will not be deeper than the space you create for it. You cannot build a peaceful life with a chaotic mind. You cannot build a meaningful life with a fearful heart. You cannot build an aligned life with fragmented actions. Everything begins within. And at some point, the path becomes very real. Not theoretical. Not philosophical. Not inspirational. Real. You begin to see exactly where you sabotage yourself. Where you fall into old patterns. Where you cling to the past. Where you avoid discomfort. Where you choose familiarity over growth. Where fear speaks louder than intuition. Seeing these things is not failure. Seeing them is transformation. Because the moment you become aware of a pattern, it loses power. Patterns survive only in unconsciousness. Habits survive only in automatic behavior. Pain survives only in avoidance. When you shine awareness on something, it can no longer remain hidden. It cannot operate without your permission. And once awareness is present, a choice appears. A real choice. Not forced, not pressured, not artificial. A choice born from clarity. You see the old path. You see the new path. And you choose consciously. Sometimes you will choose the old path again, and that's okay. Awareness does not demand perfection. It demands honesty. Over time, the new path becomes more natural. Your inner world becomes more spacious. Your reactions soften. Your sensitivity deepens. Your clarity sharpens. Your presence expands. You begin to move differently. Speak differently. Breathe differently. Respond differently. Think differently. Feel differently. Choose differently. Not because you force change, but because transformation becomes the natural result of seeing yourself clearly. This is self-mastery. This is inner cultivation. This is the path you are walking, even now, even by reading these words, even by choosing to explore the depths of your own existence. And as you continue, something else awakens within you. A sense of purpose that does not need validation, approval, or applause. A purpose that comes not from society, but from the soul. Not from expectation, but from authenticity. Not from pressure, but from clarity. Not from ambition, but from resonance. This purpose feels different from goals. Goals come from the mind. Purpose arises from your being. Goals change. Purpose remains. Goals require effort. Purpose gives energy. Goals are achieved. Purpose is lived. When purpose awakens, you begin to feel a quiet conviction, a knowing that your life is moving in the right direction even if the path is unclear. A sense of inner orientation, like a compass that never points outward, only inward. And the deeper you walk, the more you realize that the real teacher has always been life itself. After they finished drinking tea, Grandma Mbue picked up her basket and called Chikandi. "Come, let's go to the market. I want to teach you how to buy things wisely," she said. The market was very busy. People were talking, some were calling customers, and the smell of fresh fruits filled the air. Chikandi looked around with wide eyes. "Grandma, why do you look at the fruits so carefully before you buy them?" Chikandi asked. "Because before you buy anything, you must check if it's good. That's how you take care of your money," Grandma explained. She showed him how to choose sweet mangoes, fresh tomatoes, and clean vegetables. Chikandi listened carefully, wanting to learn everything. When they were done, Grandma smiled and said, "When you grow up, you will be a wise person if you learn these small things." Chikandi laughed and replied, "I'll try my best, Grandma." On their way back from the market, Chikandi suddenly heard a soft sound behind a small bush. "Grandma, I think something is crying," he said. They both stopped. Chikandi gently moved the leaves aside and found a tiny brown puppy, shaking and alone. "Oh no, it looks scared," Chikandi said. Grandma knelt down and checked the puppy. "It's not hurt, maybe it got lost." The puppy looked up at them with big sad eyes and wagged its little tail. "Grandma, can we help it?" Chikandi asked hopefully. "We can't just leave it here," Grandma replied. "We will take it home, give it water, and later we will ask around if someone lost a puppy." Chikandi lifted the puppy carefully and held it close. "It's okay, little one, you're safe now." As they walked home, the puppy relaxed in his arms and Chikandi felt happy, like he had just made a new friend. When they got home, Grandma Mbue filled a small bowl with water and gave the puppy some food. Chikandi watched closely. "Grandma, what should we name it?" he asked. How about Chico?" she suggested. Chikandi smiled. "Yes, Chico, that suits him." Over the next few days, Chikandi learned how to care for Chico. He cleaned him, fed him, and even made a small bed for him. Every time Chico wagged his tail, Chikandi felt proud. Grandma said, "Chikandi, taking care of another living being teaches you responsibility. You learn patience, love, and respect." Chikandi nodded. "I understand, Grandma. I want Chico to be happy." The puppy grew stronger and healthier every day. Chikandi realized that helping Chico made him feel happy inside, even more than playing with toys or eating sweets. It was the first time he truly understood that caring for others could bring joy to himself. One sunny afternoon, Chikandi was playing outside with Chico when his friend Tandy came by. "Hi Chikandi, can I play with Chico?" Tandy asked. Chikandi hesitated. He loved Chico and didn't want to share at first. Grandma Mbue noticed and said gently, Chikandi, sharing makes friendship stronger. If you let Tandy play with Chico, both of you will be happier. Chikandi thought about it. He didn't want to be mean, so he nodded. Okay, Tandy, you can play with Chico. As Tandy played, Chico ran around happily, wagging his tail. Chikandi felt a warm happiness in his chest, more than when Chico was just with him. Grandma, you were right, Chikandi said later. Sharing made me feel good too. Grandma smiled. Yes, Chikandi, happiness grows when you share it with others. From that day on, Chikandi learned that caring and sharing could make life more joyful, not just for himself, but for everyone around him. One morning, dark clouds covered the sky and rain started falling. Chikandi and Chico watched from the porch as water splashed all around. Grandma, can we go outside in the rain? Chikandi asked excitedly. Grandma Mbue chuckled. Yes, but be careful. Rain can be fun, but it can also be slippery. Always pay attention. Chikandi ran outside with Chico. The puppy jumped in the puddles, splashing water everywhere. Chikandi laughed and danced in the rain, feeling free and happy. Chikandi, Grandma called from the porch. Do you see how even a rainy day can be joyful? Chikandi nodded. Yes, Grandma. I was sad at first because it was wet, but now it's fun. Grandma smiled. Life is like that. Sometimes things don't go the way you expect, but if you stay present and enjoy the moment, even challenges can bring happiness. Chikandi learned that day that his attitude could change how he felt about anything, even a rainy day. As the days passed, Chikandi learned many things from Grandma Mbue and Chico. He learned how to be patient, how to care for others, how to share, and how to enjoy each moment, even when things didn't go as planned. One evening, as the sun set, Chikandi sat with Grandma Mbue and Chico by the fire. Grandma, he said softly, I think I understand now. Happiness isn't just having things I want. It's about caring for others, being kind, and enjoying what I already have. Grandma nodded proudly. Exactly, Chikandi. Life will always have challenges, rainy days, lost toys, or difficult moments, but your heart and mind can choose how to respond. That is the true lesson of life. Chikandi hugged Chico tightly. Thank you, Grandma. Thank you for teaching me all of this. Grandma smiled. The world is full of lessons, Chikandi. Always pay attention, always be kind, and always live in the present. That is how you will grow strong and wise. From that day on, Chikandi approached every day with curiosity, patience, and love. And no matter what happened, rain, challenges, or surprises, he remembered Grandma's words and the lessons he learned from caring for Chico. He realized that life's greatest joy comes not from what you have, but from how you live, how you love, and how you choose to see the world. And so, Chikandi, Chico, and Grandma Mbue lived happily, learning and growing together every day. The end.